everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm with Fraser, and Chris is my good friend and he's also a fellow therapist. And Chris is based in Ohio and he works with people experiencing ADHD and adolescents and family. And so I'm so glad that we have Chris be here today because a lot of us who are following this channel and people experience hoarding or difficulties letting go, more or less we experience some kind of ADHD-like or even full-on ADHD symptoms. And so Chris comes from a compassion-focused therapy background, and he will have a lot to offer to us about this subject. Chris?
Yeah. Thank you, Chia-Ying. And I want to say to all those folks listening that October is ADHD Awareness Month, and it's the very end of it. And I'm so glad you're having me on right now, whenever this is being viewed. But just to know, even if it's next month,
Yeah.
this is ADHD Awareness Month.
Mm.
And I want to just sort of take a moment as I look at myself and I look at Chia-Ying. And it seems so obvious, but to remember that when you find yourself struggling with these ADHD tendencies, it's not your fault. I didn't choose it. In compassion focused therapy, we really learn that we find ourselves here with different traits and things that are challenging and gifts and things that are not such gift-like things. But it's really not our fault. Nobody would ask for, okay, I think I will have a big scoop of ADHD. And can you put little sprinkles of a little bit of anxiety and depression? And oh, don't forget the hoarding. Oh my goodness, I got it with the cherry on top. But F no. No one would choose that for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But when you find yourself with these things, it's interesting. I really think that my experience is noticing that I used to think that if I worked harder,
Mm-hmm.
and if I paid attention to all the skills and all the books, thank you, Dr. Russell Barkley. Thank you, all these, Ned Hallowell, ADHD 2.0, yeah, all these different books and these strategies. But the most important thing that I've discovered after 27 years of working with young adults and children with ADHD in my own experience is that even if you have the skills,
Mm-hmm.
that at times you're still gonna, even if you put everything out in front of your door, so when you go to school or work that you have to step over it, sometimes you'll still be at work without your stuff. And
Right.
at those moments, that's the opportunity for compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Because Zhang, what you don't know is just before this, I was struggling to get on Zoom. Then a call came in and it screwed up, and my mind goes, up, there it goes again. No
Right.
matter what you do, it screws it up. And at those moments when you feel the inner part of you that goes, oh, damn it, and you just want to, I can't believe I did it. I know all the skills. I'm a therapist, and and I got
Right.
my smartwatch on. That to me is the most crucial moment to
Mm-hmm.
drop what I call the shit stick, the inner critical piece of us, those thoughts and those sensations that will turn on us to try to self-correct us.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, if I visit you out in Berkeley and we're walking and we're enjoying life and we're giggling and we fall over this beautiful, you have these beautiful eucalyptus trees out there I love, and we fall over a limb that had fallen down because we were so just enjoying each other, we're not paying attention to our surroundings, and we fall down.
Mm-hmm.
You get up and then you're like, Chris, what are you doing on the ground? Well, what are you doing? What are you doing with that limb there we fell over? Jane, watch out. You're like, Chris, no, please stop it. What are you, why are you doing that? I go, Jane, it's really okay. I got to beat the shit out of myself with a stick because I need to learn to start
Mm-hmm.
paying attention because I got ADHD.
Right.
So, and you're like, no, you just knocked a tooth out. I go, oh, good. The more I hurt, the more I learn. And you're like, no, 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 no. A good
Right.
friend is like, oh, helps you up and goes, oh, you hurt yourself.
Right. It's so
It's
fun.
like,
Go ahead.
it's instinct, isn't it? To attack ourselves. But how
Right.
do we let a good friend like you would be like, oh, Chris, you don't really have to, is that, it might seem like you're learning, but you're just, you
Right.
get your pretty face and, you know,
Yes.
but how
Yeah,
that just happens. Like, just like
right.
that.
Well, that was great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that like from a not just from a therapist experiences, but also from your personal experience of somebody who live with this ADHD experiences throughout your whole life. And like your self-practice of, okay, how can I observe myself still having that tendency to criticize myself or to pick myself up with a stick, with an invisible stick
Yeah,
after
with the visible one that you're inwardly just like,
right. Right. Yeah, so it's so natural, and I see that so often in people that I work with who struggle with hoarding, that a lot of folks would probably agree that hoarding is not the only thing that they struggle with. There's like mixed in with hoarding, there's also this ADHD, like being forgetful, very distractible, and like kind of like difficult to organize stuff and difficult to do executive functioning. And so a lot of times when these like little mishaps happens, then the inner critics is really there, like right on, like that stick that you're talking about, like immediately
yeah.
hitting yourself in the head or wherever else. Yeah, and so can you can you give us kind of like a step-by-step breakdown of like, okay, in those moments, what
Hmm.
step-by-step thing that one can practice to kind of lead them from self-criticism to self-compassion?
Yes. So the first thing is just that even you asking me about that is awareness.
Mm,
And it's not just, and it's that awareness, and people use that the word mindfulness. Mindfulness is just bringing awareness, but choosing a compassionate motive, like choosing to be kind of the awareness. I'm noticing this happening. And then, so for number one, I call name it. Ooh,
right.
tape it. You know, oh, it's my misguided inner bitch, you know, or whatever you want, you know, if you name it, but just noticing that sensation in your body or noticing those inner critical thoughts.
Mm,
Sometimes your neck will get tight, your stomach will be like you're gonna, or, and then naming it. And as soon as you name it, that gives you a moment of choice, that
mm,
choice point. Hmm. And then knowing that as soon as you attack yourself, it's like being outwardly attacked. Your heart rate jumps up into your chest, you start breathing short. And we know cortisol, stress hormones release. Oh, I'm such a piece of shit. I can't believe I forgot. I can't find my keys for the fifth time. Or where's my phone? Find your phone. I can't even find it with Find My Phone. So name it, just like my heart rate getting up talking right now. Name
mm,
it, soothe it.
mm,
The belly, you don't
mm,
have to put your hand there.
mm,
And nobody knows you're soothing it. You're giving yourself that little space to slow down. And in between stimulus and response, there's a space.
mm,
And then that space is your power and freedom to choose. That's a famous quote
mm,
by Dr. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor.
mm,
He said he felt like throwing himself into the machine guns or into the electric fence, having that moment. Slow down, breathing in, breathing out. And then your mind's going, don't slow down. You need to beat yourself up. Just and then just noticing that too. Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
and in public, nobody knows you're doing this. So you can even be, you know, slowing down. So name it.
Mhm.
Left prefrontal cortex, you know, right? Because it slows that looping down to the old brain. That's flipping out and going, oh shit, you're a piece of shit. Dan Siegel, this one's you. Name brain, old brain. There you go. Flip your shit. Slow it down.
Mm,
And then you have a little wherewithal, some lower wiggle room and act acceptance commitment therapy. They talk about the finger trap. The more you pull,
mhm,
is this, the more it clinches down. It's your instinct to pull. It's our instinct to continue to go and breathe fast and try to find and beat ourselves up, but it's that wiggle room to stop and to go towards looking inward. And when you go towards, the finger trap loosens. And so even if you're stuck, you have more wiggle room to live and have more of a choice. So name it, soothe it. And then the move it is, what do I need in this very moment? Because I'm suffering. What do I need in this very moment that would be helpful and not harmful? One small thing that I could do or need, and the word is very small. And then sometimes, then also, that would also have a bit of meaning for me. Wow. Even if I was just a train wreck 2 seconds ago, especially if I was a train wreck 2 seconds ago, what do I need in this very moment? And sometimes it's just a moment, just I need just to sit here and have to breathe. Or sometimes it's I need to text a friend and say, I'm really struggling right now. And a friend that like you, like when I talk to you, I always come away feeling like happy and just understood and like we speak the same language. So really simply, and now this sounds simple, everyone. It's not,
Yeah.
because we're so used to, it's not our fault. We just get so used to just this, like a robot, just going down the same
Right.
thing. So even if, and then giving yourself some credit, even if you feel like you did your inner critic's one, I did that poorly. I didn't breathe enough. I didn't calm it down enough. It's okay. So name it.
Right.
Oh, I have the inner critic. Oh, it's telling me that, I should have known better or whatever. Slow it down. If anybody watches basketball out in California, where you're from, I know we don't talk about the Southern Californians if you're from San Francisco very much. But Russell Westbrook, who used to have very strong anger issues for Los Angeles, he got traded. He would go like this when he'd shoot his 3 foot. He would get so angry and dysregulated. And before he would shoot his shots when he was fouled, and he was using his hand to get him out of his mind even more to
Yeah.
regulate, because a loose muscle is an effective muscle.
Right.
And he would only shoot on the exhale. And the exhale is the soothing system. Oh, you never scare anybody, and they never go, oh, you scared me. They go, oh God, you scared me. So it's name it, soothe, slowing it down, giving you that moment. And then what do I need? What would be something helpful in this moment? That would be helpful and not harmful to me. And that might be important towards living a valued life, regardless if I struggle with ADHD, hoarding, if I have OCD-ish tendencies, or if I have a du jour. And those are just labels for the struggles that are very human based on your history,
Exactly.
your temperament, your
Right.
culture, that day of how you slept and what you ate. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of things. When you slow down, then the compassion can rise up a little bit more.
Right.
And my friend Scott Hamilton, he calls it the misguided angel, the inner critic. It doesn't mean to hurt you, but it's like, hey, I don't need that kind of help. Please, you're just getting
Exactly.
me.
Exactly.
Hello, slow down. So that's name it, soothe it.
Yeah, thank you. That breakdown really helped. And I think that besides the naming it, soothing it, and moving it, that you just kind of like laid it out for us. I think I'm noticing that kind of like the spirit here is to slow down.
Slow down.
Right. It could, a lot of times when we're wanting to change, we wanting to make a change, I think the slowing down is the one of always, if not always, maybe often the key ingredients here, because we are so used to, like when we are fast, we're just repeating something that we are familiar with, right? Like
Yes.
we have like our brains wired a certain way. When we go fast, we just keep repeating that same wiring.
Yes.
Now, if we want to heal, now if we want to make change, then we need to kind of pause that fast looping um, system that was been going on for decades for most people.
Yes.
We kind of have to slow that down, and then so that we can have a chance to rewire it to a different direction. Yeah, so I really appreciate what you just shared, Chris.
And everybody, if people know, there's an old saying, the horse would just take you on home. It just knows this, and you really want to go to it, but it knows the same path. You know, it's really not your fault because it will just want to take you home. It's just going to take you home to the same old path. So
Right.
and so just noticing,
Mm-hmm.
slowing down, and it feels really weird if I slow down my voice even. But as we slow down, we have more of a choice, and then we can shift. We can find a different way.
Right.
And it's a very ancient but difficult wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I remember many years ago, Kelly Wilson, one of the co-authors of ACT, he'd say, whenever you feel like speeding up, slow down. And he said, my mentor told me that. And if
Mm-hmm.
you've ever met Kelly, he's like me, blah, 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 blah. You know, he's lovely. His heart is so big and he has so much wisdom and so much to say. And and he's right. You know, how do we slow down? And then being patient with
Mm-hmm.
ourselves as we train ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I always joke with people, it's like, no, if you're gonna get run over a bus, fucking run, like run fast. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, we can slow down.
Mm-hmm. Right. So a lot of people that may be hearing this and thinking, well, I have so much to do. I have a whole house
Mm,
filled of stuff that I had to go through. So how can I slow down? I've been too slow for my entire.
yes.
And I would
Yeah.
say though that a lot of times when folks are like operating in this fast, anxious, like I gotta get a lot of stuff done because I have too much things to deal with, but too little time. We end
Mm,
up just flipping things around. We are
yeah.
churning. We can be spending hours and hours trying to organize our homes, but we are just moving things from one place to another
Mm,
because this restlessness. Yeah. So we can be spending a lot of time and looks like we are busy doing it, but
mm,
if we are not able to really slow down and really like sometimes I ask my client, yes, I know that you want to make decisions and it's hard for you to make decisions. So you end up picking up one thing and say, well, I don't know, put this down, and this, oh, I don't know, put this down. You're handling a lot of stuff. You are going fast, handling a lot of stuff. But
mm,
how about if you just pick one up and before the urge, the anxiety comes to force you to put it down, saying, I don't know, I feel overwhelmed. You kind of hold it, just like Chris said, name it, what's going on here? Overwhelm, shame,
mm.
anxiety, inner
Fear.
critic, fear. Yes, name it. All right, soothe it.
Yeah. Hello, fear. Hello, anxiety. Hello,
Yes,
overwhelm. Ah,
yes, soothe. And breathe, breathe, soothe it. Okay. And then when you soothe it, you ask yourself, move it. How do I move toward the direction that I need now? What can I help? How can I help myself with that I'm feeling overwhelmed?
mm,
I'm feeling sad letting this item go. And my head tells me that I have to let it go. And my heart is breaking. I don't want to let it go. My fear is holding on. So
yeah.
how can we, do you have any tip that you can offer in this particular moment, Chris?
It just you made me remind me of I actually decided after many years to ask a professional organizer to
Mhm.
help me organize my office
Mhm.
and allowing to co-regulate
Yeah.
with them and it was so powerful because with that we're able to be there. And so that co-regulation of you, if you have Chia-Ying or someone like a professional organizer, especially if they're attuned to compassion focused therapy or just how the body mind connection works when it comes to getting stuck in life. But one of the tips is also one, is if you're listening to us, you're doing something right now.
Right.
You
Right.
really are, because that's different. You've chosen to watch this video to turn towards the discomfort, because even watching this video, you know we're going to say things that are going to be potentially challenging, but you
Mm-hmm.
also know it's called compassion focused therapy. There's some softness and warmth,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it's a courageous act to stop and slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the, I'll let Chia-Ying maybe talk about this, the courage it takes to turn towards compassionately towards our experience of what's happening in the moment, to slow down and hold that thing and feel all that, notice
Mm-hmm.
that itself is a courageous act.
Right. Right.
And being with and knowing that this common humanity, even if you struggle, everybody has a flavor of this. And
Mm-hmm.
some of us, get more sprinkles of one thing than another.
Mm-hmm.
Just that this is a courageous, and you're like, no, it's not. I'm just sitting here looking at a jar that I don't know what the fuck to do with this thing. And and then your mind goes, I'm a dipshit. And then the shit stick comes out. But the other thing I find for me, as you notice, is the is finding these little ways to soothe within the turning towards. Hello. And you can't play unless you feel safe. And
Mm-hmm.
you can play a little bit. And I like to name things. I like to come up with funny names for these parts that show up, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you know, oh, hello, Sammy Shame. And, hello, Samantha, cynicism, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and just that slowing down,
Mm-hmm.
it begins to get us separate,
Right.
it gets us a little separate. We notice it slows down, and it makes it not this whirlpool of swirling stuff that's just hitting us.
Right. Right.
And people, and no, it's not funny. This is hard, but when you can find those little wiggle rooms, there's a different experience you're having to your typical pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not asking you to mask things and to feel like, oh, this is funny. It's not funny. It's difficult. But if you can, all right, this is sort of gross, but all right, I work with adolescents. Okay, please out there know in adolescents and kids like talking about poo, trying to dress up a turd. It's a turd. It's disgusting, but how do we put a little hat on it, a little scarf, a little Johnny? And then it's like, like, and then it's this, it's still shit. You don't want it, but you're turning towards it and going, oh, hello, you're my, Samantha Shameshit, or hello, here in Henrietta Hoarding, put a hat on you. Okay, breathe with me, Henrietta.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not gonna just put you down. You are shitty, but and you see even the humor and just even imagining that, you know,
Right.
creating the space.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and then it's that curiosity and looking for these little glimmers of, oh, that's different.
Yes.
That's it. And then that gives us that little freedom to maybe have a different response. And then when we notice that, paying attention, well, that was different this time.
Mm-hmm.
I myself had struggled with giving away. Soccer was what got me through my hardships as being dyslexic and ADHD and having learning challenges. And my last, no, I still have one pair. Um, I used to have a whole bunch. Um, my favorite pair that I don't fit into that were special to me from 25 years ago. And I
Mm-hmm.
could feel my resistance of giving them away to the Salvation Army or to Goodwill, donating them because they were special.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed it and I go, oh, and for me, sadness is hard for me because I'm like, oh, happy, happy. And so I had to acknowledge the sadness of wanting to hold on and the
Mm-hmm.
memories of that, oh my gosh, that was such a part of that gave me meaning and helped me cope all those years.
Right.
And then letting go and sending them off with the joy of somebody else, maybe having
Mm-hmm.
freedom and having maybe they'll set them free,
Mm-hmm.
joy in them. But the sadness, I had to note it a little bit, and but also notice both, not just only that, yay, somebody's gonna love these. They're good shape, they're special, they're actually collectors.
Right.
But then the action, there's a little sad, but okay, you can be here sad. When
Mm-hmm.
I do this breathe. I even smelled them. They smell like kangaroo leather from 19, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I held them to my heart and I go, oh, okay, that was good. but now it's time for you to go and have freedom.
Right. I think that the sadness part is really important that you're highlighting. Yeah. I think that a lot of times we uh folks experience a lot of like fear of letting go, or
Mm,
like like anxiety about making some decisions. And sometimes underneath that anxiety is 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 sadness or grief, right?
mm,
If it's kind of subtle, but a lot of times it's the anxiety is kind of like a form of like we are resisting the
yes,
process of grief. We're resisting, we're trying to hold on so that we don't have to acknowledge the loss. We're
yes,
trying to hold on like a cup that, or like the kangaroo leather shoes
yeah.
that representing a time in your life, Chris. Right? And so holding on to it kind of makes you feel like, well, I still have it. It's still here.
Mhm.
But then the letting go kind of will force us to confront, well, that time
Mm,
in my life is gone, it's
yeah.
past. And so the resistance there, that fight against, no, I don't want to let it go, it can
Mm,
show up as anxiety. And so
mm,
the slowing down kind of like can get us into this, like have a chance to access the portal of letting go and starting the grief process or moving the grief process along a little bit more. And as you're speaking, even though you didn't specifically name the somatic thing that you are simultaneously doing, but it's so obvious. You're talking, and but at the same time, you're taking deep breaths. You're putting your hand on your heart.
yes.
So all of these are little things that we can do to connect with our body so that our body can come online and support us in this process. Kind of like you're saying, when we feel the safeness, then
Hmm.
we are more likely to have space for humor. We are more
Yes.
likely for space to have like a little bit of playfulness in the midst of this very heavy sadness about loss and about fear, or even about losing control, because getting rid of things can mean for some people losing control.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just want to highlight.
And what you couldn't see as an audience was, even because you can't, in compassion focused therapy, we say it's so challenging because you can have unlimited access to your own thoughts and emotional world, but no access to anybody else. When I was bringing up that sadness, I
Mhm,
could feel it again, just bringing it up, telling you the story.
mhm.
So in saying yes, but not being overwhelmed by, but allowing, but there's grieving and opportunity at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And acknowledging that at the same time. I even felt it like when I did that, and Chang's right, back to the body, like in noticing that in that moment, yes, hello, you're here. And
Mhm,
that's grieving. And to be able to hold it a bit,
mhm,
to stay with it, and just to turn toward with care. It's not
mhm,
like, oh, hello, sadness, piss off, you're here. You know, it's with a warm turning and noticing.
mhm,
And so all of us have certain parts of, of ourselves that don't get as much. I'm an athlete, so playing time. They
mhm,
don't get to be, we don't allow them. And a lot of times in our family of origins, a lot of times sadness wasn't super allowed. I got a real upbeat dad, and he's like, that's where I got my ADHD. He's a psychologist, and he's always going. And my mom, and so sadness, it wasn't allowed as much, and it was. And of course, they watched this. Said, yes, it was. And that'll be a whole different um, talk you and I'll do. But but that's, I really believe that's grieving. That was a growth experience for myself.
mhm,
And even as therapists, we all, if we're teaching you this, that means we're attempting to do this ourselves. So we're not speaking it. We're also Jang, and when we speak, we talk about how we integrate this into our own lives. And
mhm,
we're always learning. And so in this journey of, that you're on here by listening to this, it's you're always learning and growing.
mhm.
no matter how many years you've been on this journey of working with these things.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing in my office that you don't see, it has a begin sign. It says begin. And
Mm-hmm.
I always say, look at that sign. We can begin, even if we got caught and hooked and pulled into, we can begin again with compassion.
Right. Right.
We have that choice.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then and then we don't have to eat the elephant in one bite, the grief elephant that's been hiding under there or whatever. We can just take a little nibble.
Right.
Uh, I'm a pescatarian, so it'd be like a whale. No, I love whales. I want to eat whales. Sardine, little sardine. Yeah. But he's a little bite. You don't have to eat like the whole can. You do sardine, a little
Right.
bite.
This is amazing. This is looping us back to where we began. Like we began by
Oh, right.
talking about, right. We began by talking about those little failure or those little mishaps that kind
Mm,
of kicks start the inner critic ranting. And
yes.
how do we name it, and we soothe it, and we move that. We move that, and
Yes.
yeah. And so how we are gonna always make mistakes. We're gonna always have things that we're gonna lose.
Especially if you're ADHD, because you won't mean to. You got a Ferrari mind and bicycle brakes, and so you're going to run red lights no matter how many. And so there's all these opportunities for compassion and practice. And it's a really different way of being. So I ask you to be very patient in the beginning of this process
Right,
because we're so trained, the horse just takes you home, as we talked about.
right,
Other parts of you are going to be like, no, I don't like that part that wants to slow down and be nice. And because it brings up sadness in my childhood and my mean boss, and then
right.
so but we can begin again. And if you're ADHD, you didn't choose it. And I could talk for an hour more about this, but then it's like to know that this is a beautiful new way of being in the world with yourself.
Exactly, exactly.
And it's possible. And it's not easy, but that's why I like Mr. Rogers. He said, how you love yourself into being and then allowing other people to love you into being, which is sometimes tough if you've been hurt too, but allowing them, and Jang just tonight spoke about our personal lives and letting people love us into being and love and letting go. And
Mhm,
this is a whole life journey we're on. And
mhm.
so if you're James and my client, we're together on this journey. Since now you're listening, we're all together on this journey as we speak about these things.
Oh,
It's really important. I'm going to want folks to know that.
thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing your presence and bringing your wisdom and really bringing your heart, your whole being here. Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.